Hot take alert, I love the Game Awards. I like the fact that it's a global thing with gaming outlets from all over the world having a say. The fan voting is also there so that viewers can feel like they are making a difference, even though their votes account for barely nothing in the end. It makes the whole process feel incredibly democratic. I also really like Jeff Keighley. I can sense that he's really passionate about games and wants to make the medium be seen as an art form that is as credible as music or movies. That's why we have this dog and pony show in a big-ass theater with a live orchestra, Sydney Goodman in a sparkly dress, Jeff in a fancy tuxedo and all that. It's meant to give off Oscar or Grammy vibes, stuff our dads actually see as art. And I feel like we are almost there. I feel that gaming right now is on the same level as television was back in the 2000s. It was undeniable that shows like The Wire, The Sopranos, and Lost represented a shift for that medium. They were completely different beasts when compared to your typical procedural cop show or family sitcom. So the talk regarding TV as art couldn't be postponed anymore. I feel like in Jeff's mind, the existence of the Game Awards should jumpstart the same sort of discussion for games as art. So the Game Awards, having the aesthetics it has, is understandable. It wants to be seen as a respectable and important event. It doesn't want to be like the MTV Movie Awards or the People's Choice Awards.
My name is Ricardo Casio. Shout out to Kevin Gates' Isla album. You jumped over the jump, man. Yes, sir.
You ain't gonna pull no Steve Harvey up in here.
There's just an issue there. How many gamers would seriously tune in to watch a serious Game Awards? My guess is not many. Look at the ratings for the Oscars, for instance. That shit is as prestigious as it gets. It's almost 100 years old and celebrates the biggest, most mainstream form of art out there. Its numbers have been dropping harder and faster than the value of a monkey JPEG. Not even the slap could save it. So, if the Oscars can't hold an audience, what hope do the Game Awards have for steady ratings? When they don't have tradition or prestige on their side and don't represent a credible art form in the eyes of the pedants out there, and they are currently happening against a backdrop where less and less people care for awards shows? Seriously, what's left for Jeff? Well, I guess there's only one way to make sure people are gonna tune in, and that's the promise of an exciting world premiere. Give the event that E3 light vibe, sprinkle trailers between the awards, and you know what? I like it. In theory, we could have our cake and eat it too. However, that's not what's been going on. Every year, the amount of time dedicated to these trailers is increasing, and since the show is already 4 freaking hours long, they can't really make it any longer in order to accommodate more trailers. They have to cut awards. Also, it seems like the more the gaming industry grows, the more gaming companies can pay celebrities large sums of money to be in their games, so promoting at the Game Awards seems like a safe bet. So there you go, the show also has to accommodate a bunch of celebrities who may or may not want to be there. Matthew McConaughey looked like he stopped by the Game Awards on his way to pick his kids up from a play date. That's the sort of respect he has for gaming. Not every big-name actor was an a-hole, though. Both Abubakar Salim and Simu Liu treated the Game Awards as an event worthy of respect, while Anthony Mackie was obviously high, which in a way feels in line with the Game Awards somehow, I don't know. Seriously, this year more than any other, it seemed like the awards were almost a hindrance to the Game Awards team. Jeff would furiously rush through awards without any room to even show an audience reaction or two. And sure, they've done this before, but this treatment was usually reserved to less important awards. For instance, the pre-show with Sydney is where they dump all of those esports awards, because really they're pretty niche, and I don't think Faker, for instance, needs the Game Awards to feel celebrated. So that's fine. However, this year they dumped Best Family Game in the pre-show. What the fuck? It was just odd and a little insulting. There was no rhyme or reason to which awards got this treatment and which ones got a proper presentation. Like, Best RPG and Best Family Game don't get a moment on the stage, but Best Sound Design does? I mean, no shade to sound design, but that's just odd. If any sound category is going to get a moment in the spotlight, shouldn't it be scoring music? Sure, Masayoshi Soken wasn't there to receive the award for Final Fantasy XVI, but at least let the orchestra play a bit of his music and play a 20-second long MP4 file with his acceptance speech. That shit matters. Best indie game matters. I was so happy for Sea of Stars and would have loved to see Sabotage take the stage, but nope, we have no time for that. However, we have time to let Anthony Mackie embarrass himself on stage for what felt like an eternity. Seriously, try to watch this without cringing.
See this section right here? You guys look great. Keep it going, baby. I don't trust this dude, but y'all look great. Don't you yell at me. I love you more. I love you! What is wrong with y'all? Okay, stop it! You! Okay, love you too. I see you. I see you. Shut up. Okay, today!
At least Games for Impact got the bells and whistles one would expect from an awards show. I honestly still don't get what that award even means, but it was just nice to see Chia get an award because I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Sure, they were played off the stage almost immediately, but that's better than nothing, I guess. However, I still can't get over the amount of genres that didn't get a moment to shine. No time for sim games, action games, RPGs, or fighting games to take to the stage. And why? Just so we could get more fucking trailers. Some of these, I think I get. It's some insidious shit, but I get it. Best RPG, for instance, went to Baldur's Gate 3, which would later on also score Game of the Year. So from the Game Awards perspective, there was no point in letting Larian go to the stage to receive another award. They could use up that space for something else, like trailers. But in all honesty, who cares if Larian got 5 different awards? They should get to go up the stage 5 times. That means more creatives could have gotten a chance to be celebrated. But nope. Here's another random sci-fi shooter thing. Seriously, there was this one section with a bunch of vaguely cyberpunky futuristic shooters one after another. I just zoned out. There was just too much stuff. There were over 60 trailers this year. It seriously felt like Jeff agreed to everyone who would pay up for a 30-second slot on the show. If you were there for the awards, you were most certainly pissed. Even if you were there for the trailers and ads, you were still probably burned out after 4 straight hours of this. And if you'd like a balance of both, like me, you were also disappointed by what the Game Awards had to offer this year. Who was this for? This show needs to be reworked because this current format isn't working. They need to cut down on the trailers by at least half so that everything that's announced feels important somehow and that more awards can be presented live. That would still mean over 25 trailers in what is meant to be a celebration of the past year in gaming. You know, the ceremony should be about looking backwards and celebrating and displaying how amazing this medium can be, with just a few glimpses of what's to come. Without it, then this is not the Oscar of games, it's the VMAs or whatever. And if it's the VMAs, why the fuck am I watching this? Just drop the act, drop the suits, and do it like Matthew McConaughey. Jeff, if this doesn't improve next year, I'll be watching DICE instead. Like and subscribe.